Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michael Newmark, the Administrative Law Judge for the Public Service Commission. I know we have a number of people connected to our hearing for Village of Oregon. I'm just curious if we have someone connected with the utility. If you just unmute, turn your camera on. So people with the utility, look like we're expecting Lauren and Peter. So Peter, I see you joined us. Can you unmute and turn your camera on? There you go. Hey, just curious if you noticed someone from the utility on the list of participants. I don't see anyone. I asked them to unmute, but
Not yet.
okay. So it's just about time to start. We're going to need the utility connected before we can get going. Oh, I think I see her here. Okay. It's like Lauren's in the waiting room here. Okay, great. Well, it looks like we have people we've expected to join us, and just make sure we have, yeah, we got commission staff connected, we have the utility connected, and members of the public. So welcome everyone. Let's get started. We may still be letting in some members of the public during the hearing, but I want to get started at our scheduled time. So welcome. This is Docket 4440 WR104. The application of the Village of Oregon for authority to adjust water rates. My name is Michael Newmark, the Administrative Law Judge for the PSC. We're here to create the record in the case, and that'll be the documents we identify and verify under oath as exhibits, as well as comments we receive from the utility, commission staff, and members of the public that join us before we adjourn. We're also taking comments in writing from the public, and our notice of hearing indicates we have comments due Thursday, February 5th, We've been taking those comments since January 6th, and they are due February 5th is the last day we can receive them. They can be filed through our internet link here that's being shown on the notice hearing on our screen share, and also mailed to us by U.S. mail. I think we only have one comment on file so far as of yesterday, but there'll be an opportunity for the public to speak today. If so, for whatever reason you don't feel like speaking, or you didn't make the hearing, feel free to file a comment by the deadline. So we're live streaming the hearing for people who just want to observe. And in case you're wondering, there's our link to the live stream. And that link also holds the recordings of our hearings. So once the hearing's over, you'll see a recording of this hearing on this site here, the PSC WI Hearings YouTube channel. If you want to check out documents in the case, we do have a link to our document repository here that's on the notice. There's also a way to subscribe to events that get updated in this case, and also if new filings are received, you can get a subscription to that and get an email when those filings are put in place. So just some background for people here. So we have, like I said, we're creating the record today. So as well as the documents, the recording of the hearing will be part of the record. So obviously the comments we receive during the hearing will be recorded that way. So what we do with the record is we provide it to the decision maker in the case. In this case, it's Andy Galvin, the administrator for the Division of Water Utility Regulation and Analysis. So Andy will review the record and make the decision in the case. The Commission has the authority to approve, modify, or reject rate modification requests. And based on the record, Andy will make that decision. A written order based on that decision will be issued. It'll be emailed to the utility and posted on the Commission's website, like I mentioned at the link here, the documents area on our website. So that's our basic process. You'll see we'll take the utility first, get their documents checked in and their comments put into the record. I know there's a number of people here from the public, customers, so I'm going to have the utility just give us a brief overview of what the drivers of the rate increase are that may help customers with understanding the application, its impact, and hopefully inform any comments that you wish to give. Then we'll move on to Commission staff and get their documents checked in, an opportunity for staff to comment. And then we'll move on to the public. I think the way I have Zoom set up, if it's working right, it should be listing the people in the order that they joined us, but it actually does not look like it's doing that for me. So we will get to the public. I'll give you some instructions about making those comments, but you'll see the process from what we do with the utility and commission staff. Basically swear you in, get your name, and have you speak your opinion on the case. So let's proceed with the utility first. I do have a list of documents we need to check in and get verified, so you'll see that on the screen share now. It's an email from commission staff that identified the documents we have in the case. So we have 7 utility exhibits altogether here that we'll put in the record. So we'll have the utility verify those. Is that something, Peter, you can verify, or do you want to split that up with?
Yeah, I can verify those, Judge.
All right, so I'll swear you in first. So raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Let's give us your name and title.
My name is Peter Curtin. I'm a consultant or a rate consultant with Ellers for the village.
All right. And can you see the screen share?
I can.
So for the documents listed there, we have them numbered 1 through 7. Are you familiar with those?
I am.
Are they complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any comments you'd like to give?
Not at this time.
Okay. And then I was just wondering if you can just review for the public just what the main increase causes for the increase are.
So The village currently has or did have outstanding two construction authorization dockets. I, of course, had them up. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure.
I believe one was for a new well, one was for maintenance on a well house, as well as a booster pump. And those are kind of the driving factors on these rate adjustments as the PSC goes to calculate new rates for any Wisconsin utility. They will look to adjust rates for the costs of those projects, but they will also insert a sort of cash driver to sort of cash fund future repairs of some of those assets that are being put into service. So while it is a large adjustment, it is mainly due to some of these bigger projects as well as by completing projects, the village is increasing its overall asset value of the utility. And so the PSC will look to adjust rates to kind of compensate for that increase in asset value.
Okay, and that's considered the rate of return. That
Correct. Yes.
just a clarification for me. Is the are the projects being funded through loans, or is it direct financing from the cash financing from the village?
I believe, hold on, now I can bring it up. I believe it's kind of the village collects impact fees as well as sort of they are going out for loans and everything. So,
So the impact fees will offset the costs that
mhm.
customers are paying. And just if you know, in terms of those loans, is any of it through programs where they can get the utility can get a low interest rate or forgiveness on the principal?
I believe what I'm looking at right now is that there are going to be revenue bonds. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, but
Am I allowed to speak, Judge?
Well, if there's going to be a back and forth, let me swear you in too. So
Okay,
raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, just give us your name and title.
My name is Lauren Striegel. I am the Director of Public Works with the Village of Oregon.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the one of the well projects, the maintenance and rehabilitation project, is being funded largely through the Safe Drinking Water Loan Program through the DNR.
Okay, and is that principal forgiveness or a low
No,
interest rate?
no, it's just low interest. We don't qualify for principal forgiveness.
Okay. All right. So is there anything else either of you want to add just in terms of the background? No? Okay. So anyone else wish to comment from the utility? Just anything you want the decision maker to know? If there's anyone else from the utility connected? No? Okay. So then we'll move on to commission staff and we'll sign in that revenue requirement exhibit with Stefan Elmer. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the revenue requirement exhibit?
Yes, I am.
Is it complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Do you have any comments?
No comments.
All right. On cost, service study, and rate design, Alex Hanna. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Are you familiar with the cost, service study, and rate design exhibit?
Yes, I am.
Is it complete and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Do you have any comments?
I have no comments at this time.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the screen share for now. We may need to put that on to look at documents based on what we may get from the public here. But so, like I mentioned, I can take comments from the public now. If someone does wish to comment, it's easier for me if you raise your hand in Zoom. And we just started doing this, so I'm not sure how it's gonna go. We'll give everyone a chance to comment no matter what. But if you do know how to raise your hand in Zoom, there should be an icon on the bottom of your Zoom window. Then just raise it for me. Just give you a second to do that. And for the people on the phone, they can't raise their hand. So let me ask the person on the phone, their number ends in 919. You need to press *6 to unmute. So if you do want to comment, please unmute now. And I'll just send you instructions. So any comments, don't be afraid. We'll just do the same thing, swear you in, get your name, and have us give you your opinion on the case. Not too scary, I hope. So anyone? I see no hands raised. If that's a problem, don't worry. Just unmute and let me know if you want to comment. Okay. I'm not hearing that from anybody. So I do want to, let me just get that screen share back up and I'll review for everyone the comment period. We'll still be taking written comments from the public up until up through the end of Thursday. I'd recommend you use our link and file a comment on the internet at this point to get your comment in on time. Otherwise, there's still the mailing address, but I don't know if we'll get a piece of mail in by the deadline. So encourage people to comment if they do want to. We do have that one comment on file so far. We'll accept that. Oh, here we go. Jamie Callan, you got your hand raised. All right, can you turn on your screen and unmute? Looks like.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah. So let me start off by swearing you in. Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, give us your name and comment.
I'm Jamie Callan. I guess I'll be the brave one. I've never really attended meetings like this. Don't really know what to ask. Just kind of saw that this was a thing. I don't even know where to start other than a lot of the things that I don't know. Can you explain this to me? Right? Like I'm a kindergartner. A lot of the terms were like, where did this come from? Like the wells and the maintenance and future repairs and keeping costs down for customers. And yet we're the customers. And if our taxes go up, is it really saving us money? So can you just maybe like give a little more history, a little more context, explain it like I'm dumb, like I'm new to this, and just appreciate some more background perspective on why this is happening or what other alternative funding sources were considered and discussed. What happens if, or like, what are the next steps? What if this doesn't go through? Just general things like that, just because I'm really trying to just learn and find out. Thank you.
Okay, well, I can give you a little bit of background about the commission. So the commission's been around since, in one form or another, 1874. We started regulating railroads, but soon after that, in the early 20th century, beginning of the 20th century, we started regulating utilities, including water service. So what regulation basically means, if a utility, a company, in this case, municipality wishes to provide utility service, they have to be regulated by our agency. So what's really critical to know about what the work that we do is that in terms of capital projects, spending money on those projects, the utilities need to get the commission's approval for those. And then in terms of what costs they can recover, what rates they charge customers, the utility has to get the commission's approval for that. And that's all based on state statutes. So utilities they're not like regular companies because they provide a public service. The actions and the prices they charge are regulated by us. So they have to do what we say in terms of that, in that realm, in terms of prices and approval for construction projects, things that will raise the costs. And we have about 575 water utilities in the state. So we're quite busy with lots of requests and increase requests and facility approvals. So these utilities have been around a long time. So there's obviously a lot of wear and tear and new service and extensions of service and new service that's needed. So we're very busy keeping abreast of what utilities are doing in terms of needing more equipment and facilities, and then trying to get those costs recovered. And one of the goals is to keep the utility healthy financially so it can maintain service and high quality, but also to make sure that there's a review of those costs and that that the projects that they're proposing are not too costly, that they're within a reasonable range, and that the rates are set so that customers don't experience, overly burdensome costs. Keep those rates reasonable. That's one of our goals. So a lot of that does get funneled through commission staff and their practices, and really a long history of looking at these cases and dealing with these utilities. So, what the commission doesn't regulate is water quality. That's a DNR issue. So when it comes to saying, this water doesn't meet some sort of health standard, DNR is regulating that. And then if DNR sees that there's a need for the utility to make improvements for water quality, it'll order those to take place. And then when the utility will have to come to the PSC to get approval for those projects. So it's kind of a dual role there, but we don't regulate the water quality for the utility. So that's kind of the basics. And if you saw our commission staff, so we have auditors and accountants, people who are checking what the utilities are filing and requesting, and kind of comparing that to benchmarks in terms of how much should a project cost, and what kind of rates are other utilities setting, what kind of costs are common for utilities in the area, and also what might be different. Like if a utility is in a very different situation than others, it may have different costs or higher costs for certain things. Like if you're in a really hard rock area, you have to dig your well deeper, your costs are going to be higher. But if there's a reason, that's something that the commission will look into, making sure that the costs are reasonable. So in terms of this case in the process, well, it looks like we had Peter explain that there were a number of projects that were needed. I believe the commission already approved those. Is that something you mentioned, Peter? That
I believe so. Yeah, there's a final order. I believe in one of them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, typically we'd have to approve a project before it can be recoverable. So that's something that we'd be looking at. So the projects themselves were approved as being reasonable, and now it's the cost that needs to be set in rates so that the utility can move forward with that. So like we mentioned, a lot of these projects are funded through loans, and because it's a municipality and the service is very essential, there are programs that keep the cost of borrowing down, like Lauren mentioned, through the Safe Water Act Drinking Fund. So that's another check on how much these rates go up. But essentially the idea is to provide safe water at a reasonable rate. So in terms of the details, I don't know how much we can get into all the details in this case. Now, the documents we went through, they are available on our website that you can review. But in terms of, there's, there are certain questions I'm not sure that I can answer, like, what if this doesn't get approved? I'm not really sure what would happen. I mean, I'm sure these projects are needed. I think everyone would want them funded, but there's so I don't know if anyone wants to jump in and just sort of answer some of those other elements.
Yeah, or like what other funding sources were considered?
Yeah, I don't know if there was probably a good option, but I don't know if the utility has any background about other options for funding. Usually the safe water drinking loans are, very low cost loans. So it's what the utility is going to gravitate to.
Yeah. I can add those. So the Safe Drinking Water Loan Program is sort of a state funded grant. It's not a grant, but what it is it's loans that the DNR can give out to local utilities, and they're well below market rate interest. And so if you kind of went out to a market for a debt issue for a utility, they would be what are considered revenue bonds. And so that interest rate right now would be about 5%. And the safe drinking water loans, as I mentioned, are pretty well below market rates. So the utility is going to get an interest rate of about like 2%, maybe sometimes even lower. And then they also have what's called a principal forgiveness program, which is if you qualify for, you can receive grant money for the project as well. But there are certain stipulations to qualify for that. And unfortunately, the village didn't exactly qualify for the principal forgiveness aspect, but they did kind of use that safe drinking water program to take out that very low interest rate debt to pay for the projects. And part of kind of taking out that loan is also there will be sort of a look back as far as revenues. And each utility, when they go through this program, will have to maintain what's called a debt coverage of 1.2%. So it's for every dollar of debt, you have a dollar and 20 of revenues. And so the Department of Administration will look back at utilities finances and they'll say, we approve this loan, but you won't be able to close on it. You won't be able to get the distribution of these monies until you show us that your rates are equal and sufficient to make this 1.2% coverage of your debt service payments. And so that is a lot of times the driving factor for utilities to go in for a rate case is because the DOA has said that they must increase their rates in order to close on a loan.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, so the DOA is another state agency that handles a lot of finances for the state. And the this safe water drinking loan program, I mean, what ends up happening is the utility pays back that loan to the program, and then the program lends the money out to other utilities. So it's kind of a revolving fund to promote safe drinking water throughout the state. So. So usually those, if you qualify for those loans, that's like the reason is that those projects were needed for water quality. Do we know what the problems were that are being addressed by these projects?
I can step in and speak here if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so and I want to clarify the Well 6 project. So kind of one of the two major well projects that is being discussed here. That's a new well, and that actually is being funded by revenue bonds. So that is not being funded by safe drinking water loan. That is necessary largely because the village is growing, quite frankly, and as well as wanting some redundancy in the system, such that we can make sure that we can keep enough water flowing through our system, especially during the summer when demand gets really, really high. The portion of it that is needed because of the growth of the village, as Peter alluded to earlier, is actually being funded not by rates at all. So that piece is being funded by what's called an impact fee, which is a fee that is paid by houses, businesses, et cetera, as they come into the village. So we've done as much as we can and done a pretty thorough analysis of how much is really something that we can attribute to that new growth so that we're not charging our existing ratepayers for that new growth. We're making sure that that responsibility is where it should be. Now, on the other side, the well rehabilitation project, that is being funded by the Safe Drinking Water Loan Program. That particular well is our oldest functional well in the village. The water quality on that one is really good. The structure itself surrounding the well was the driver on that project. It was very outdated. It was in some ways not even safe for our staff to operate, particularly the electrical system, and it was out of compliance with a lot of current DNR rules. So the reason that we pursued that project is really because we looked at, well, we can't have staff be servicing a well that is not safe for them to do. Our other option would be we retire this well entirely and move to look to do a different well, but that would be much more expensive. And it's unlikely we would frankly get the water quality that we do get out of this existing well. And so kind of weighing those two options along with the fact that safe drinking water was available because of that DNR noncompliance, we decided to go with this kind of least cost option that kept us using a very good well and should keep it operational for the next, at least 50 years, keep it on our system. So that was kind of our attempt to make these changes, get the improvements that we need, but keep the cost for the ratepayers down as much as possible.
Okay, great. So I think we covered sort of the general aspects of the case and what's driving the cost increases that are getting sought in recovery in the new rates. So we can move on, see if someone else has an opinion about the case. Move on to another person who wants to comment. Anyone else wish to speak? Yeah. All right. We have Barkin Marmot. Barkin Marmot. I know what that is. It took me a sec. Can you get your screen on by any chance? Oh, you have to unmute too.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you turn your screen on?
I'm sorry, I do not have a webcam, but
Okay.
I can raise my right hand.
Okay, I see that. You're not. Yeah, you got your hand raised already. So yeah, well, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. So, do you have a comment for us? Just give us your name and comment, please.
Sure. Grant Jonan. I'm a village resident of 17 years, and I understand primarily the reasons behind. Thank you for explaining that the number 6 project and the rehabilitation project. My main question is mostly about funding. So I did a little research on my water costs over those 17 years. And bear with me, I'm just going to throw out a few percentages here. Water use for me in 2023 saw an increase of 30%. The water base in that same year was an increase of 23.5%. And then regarding sewer rates, in 2024, 16.3% increase, and then in 2025, 35% increase. Sewer base also last year additionally went 35% up. So I understand that these are necessary improvements, not refuting that, but basically my question is, with these recent increases in rates and the funds that have been obtained through those increases, were those funds not allocated to these projects that we are now speaking of? Meaning, why an additional 30%, 6% now? And what will happen, let's say 3 years from now, when we're potentially asked for another 36% increase?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, one thing I can clarify for everyone is that the commission does not regulate sewer rates. Sewer utilities can elect to be regulated by the commission, but at this point, all of them have dropped that oversight by the commission. So this case, especially, most importantly, this case has nothing to do with sewer rates, and the commission right now does not set any sewer rates in the state. So in terms of any increases you've seen in sewer, we're not really involved in that or overseeing that. One thing that may get confusing, of course, is that your bill may have a lot of other things on it besides the water rates. So if those things go up, it looks like your total bill, of course, is going up, but the commission doesn't regulate any of the other aspects of that, like trash or things like that. But one thing that's pertinent to us is that some villages, I don't know if Oregon is like this, but I mean, some villages will have staff or facilities that are shared between the two utilities, between water and sewer, because it makes sense. It's a cost savings to have them share, like, an operator. But all of the costs have to be allocated between the utilities, and that's something that commission staff would be checking to make sure that hours and times are billed correctly to the correct utility. So if there is some sharing, which I'm not sure there is, but if there is, we'll want to see the allocations be made between the two, so that sewer is not paying for water and water is not paying for sewer. But in terms of your question, we've seen increases in the past, and This project is now adding more, and what will happen in the future. I don't know if the utility has any comment on that. I think from what I know, how I understand how regulation works is utility can't recover costs until the projects are in place. So at this time, they've gotten their approval, they've gotten their loan, and that's when the rates go into effect. So the rate increases you've seen in the past were not for these projects, as a general premise. But if the utility wants to confirm,
I can actually kind of jump in, and I
Mhm.
think this is also kind of geared towards PSC processes, is that those rate adjustments in the past were geared towards the total asset value of the utility at that time. And so those adjustments were for the costs of those assets in place at that time, as well as increases to sort of recover costs for those specific assets. And now when the village comes in and they're building a new well, that's a whole entirely other asset. And so this adjustment is going to be mainly focused on that new well, and as well as providing a rate of return to sort of cash fund any sort of future, rehab or maintenance on that new well kind of going forward. So it's a big focus is, the PSC's process really relies heavily on an asset value of your utility. So anytime a utility does a large project, it's going to kind of cause an increase in your rates to sort of address that increase in value of your utility. And that's why it's not that those past rate adjustments were kind of generating cash that should have paid for this new well, as much as those were adjustments made to sort of pay for the assets at the time. And now with this new well, these are these rate adjustments to kind of go with the asset addition of the new well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's an important aspect of rate regulation, which is to match the costs with the current customers. So commission is concerned with and takes into account making sure that we can time the rate recovery with the costs for facilities that people are using now. So you don't want to defer costs so that you're kind of sort of borrowing and into the future and making people pay for things you're using now into the making future future generations pay for what you're using, and vice versa. Don't how would that work the other way? I don't know exactly, but that's kind of the principle is to have rates cover what's used and being used by the utility to provide service at the time. So the costs are going up. So there's also operation and maintenance and chemicals and filters and things like that need to be reflected in rates, and those are always adjusted to make sure that the utility is meeting its costs, and like Peter was saying, have a buffer for emergencies and for maintenance of bigger, more intense maintenance, and so it has some sort of cash flow for that. But generally speaking, it's the usage rates, the rates that you're paying are for what you're using.
Okay, thank you. I would just throw in one additional comment on that.
Sure.
Thank you for explaining that the more recent increases are for assets not related to this project, but I would just explain as a consumer and from talking to many of my neighbors and friends in the village, with those recent increases and now this one within a very short time period, that definitely raises some eyebrows. And that's just from a consumer standpoint. So a lot of people are scratching their heads and saying, why such a large jump at this point? And I don't know if the village has done anything to possibly explain this in any sort of public material, be it on the website or something like that, to say, this is what this is for, and this is why, other than the form letter that they sent out, which I think most people either throw away or don't understand.
Right. Well, thanks for that comment. I think it's important for us to know, what the public's view about the decision and its its impacts of what ends up becoming the rate, the final rates. It's the decision maker wants to know what people are thinking about that. I'm not sure if the utility, I mean, because it's a village, usually these decisions are made in committee, either by the village board or by the utility board, if there is one, and for this particular case. So, I mean, the way I understand the process is that the village has already approved the application for these rates, and that was a public process. So I think there's opportunities for the public to get involved, even in that stage of the process. So,
Mhm.
I don't know if there's
Judge,
any.
do you mind if I jump in
Mhm.
with a comment quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I totally hear what's being said here. To kind of contextualize things, the Village of Oregon is in, I think, a position that I'm guessing many, many, many municipalities are in, which is that particularly during the past couple decades, there has been kind of a tendency, or there had been a tendency to not spend a lot of money, not do a lot of replacement of infrastructure. And at this point, all of a sudden, we're finding that things are breaking, things are not sufficient. And we've got a lot of things that have to be done to bring our system up to a good, solid, reliable point. And that involves a lot of projects. And so in the past couple of years, we've started to get a little bit more aggressive towards trying to start to replace some of this really aging infrastructure. And these wells are a big part of it. We've also had some major street reconstruction projects. I know they've been pretty visible as well. And what we've tried to do is work with the PSC to make sure that we are pacing ourselves so that we're not doing everything all at once. We're doing this in a very routine, kind of sustainable fashion. On the sewer side, and I don't want to get too far into it, but a lot of those rate increases are due to the fact that we're also doing a major a wastewater plant expansion at the same time. So that's another piece that in particular is kind of driven by growth, and we do have ways that we are allocating that to growth, kind of similar to the impact fees. But a lot of this is just, like I said, that aging infrastructure issue. So we do kind of bring these up pretty commonly in Public Works Committee meetings, in village board meetings. We also have project websites dedicated to all of these through our main village website that have a little bit more information on all of these and some of the history behind it, if you guys are interested in taking a look at that.
Okay, great, thanks. So let's move on and see if there's someone else who wants to comment. I did offer the option of raising your hand. I think a couple of people used that method, but otherwise just unmute and let me know if you do want to comment. If you're on the phone, you need to press *6. Okay, Travis, looks like you're. Can you turn?
Yeah, I apologize in advance. I tried messing with the video and I get
It's
nothing.
Not working. Okay. All right. Well, let me swear you in there.
Yep.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Name and comment, please.
Travis Yakes, I'm an Oregon resident. I just have two questions. One of them was, I'm just curious on what steps internally utility has taken to kind of control the cost before asking for the rate increase. And then my second question was, I was going through some of the documentation, but I didn't see anything. I was just curious, is there anything that's comparing Oregon's water rates to similar or Wisconsin communities around us? And I was just kind of curious if our cost is lower than those around us, if it's higher, if there's a source for that. If you could link it, that'd be great too. But those are the two questions I had.
Okay. Utility, you want to take the first stab at that?
I can take a run at number one. Peter,
Okay.
I think you guys have prepared something for number two. So
Yeah.
if you want to take that one. So number one is really kind of a lot of the response to that is pretty similar to the response to some of Jamie's questions. So we have been, as well as some of what we talked about just with the previous question, we've been trying to take a very measured approach to building and replacing infrastructure, while taking into account the fact that we have a pretty significant backlog of things that need to be taken out and replaced. So we have been very careful in picking these. We have, like we talked about before, been pretty aggressive in looking at the best funding sources for each of these projects. So making sure that we're allocating as much as we can to that new growth via the impact fees, making sure that we're going after those low-cost loans through the DNR, not just for our well project, but we try to use those for water main replacements as part of street reconstruction projects. So trying to pull any available levers to keep the cost to the ratepayer down. So that's kind of what I would point to for question number one. Peter, do you want to take question two?
I will. I'm just putting this in together here real quick. So if on the PSC website, you have the capabilities of pulling localized water rates for any utility in the state. And also, I'm just bringing this up, so bear with me real quick. But when we presented our cash flow information as well as the application adjustment to the village, we also showed a sort of list comparing local utilities. And bear with me here. I'm just kind of bringing it up real quick.
If you can point me to it, I can share it on the screen.
1 second. Okay, am I able to share my screen?
No, but let me know. Is it something that's on file?
No, it's
Oh.
not on file.
All right.
I
Yeah.
know, I mean, as far as Dane County goes, for
Uh-huh.
utilities, all utilities really class D to A. Oregon right now is kind of more towards the bottom, right around DeForest, Sun Prairie utilities. With this current rate adjustment, that puts the village kind of right in the middle of Dane County. You're a little bit higher than Dane and the Mazo-Manes, but you're definitely lower than Madison's water utility, Cross Plains, the village of Shorewood, Cambridge. You're like I said, you kind of fall right in the middle of Dane County as a whole right now.
Judge, can I send you a link to one of our agendas because this is public?
Oh, sure. I don't know. I've done that before.
Can I put it in the chat? Is there a chat?
No, there isn't actually. We don't do that. So, I mean, what I can say is, why don't we have people contact you and you could
Perfect.
provide that information to them.
Yep.
I can share something from the PSC, but there's a caveat to that. We do have a bill comparison website, but my understanding is that the numbers are outdated a few years, at least, what is it, 2020, I think, the last update here.
Judge Newmark, this is Alex.
Yeah.
The bill comparison that you are sharing right now, that is up to date.
Oh, that one is, but that's only for quarterly.
Yep, so it's a quarterly bill comparison, and what's important about that is it does not include public fire protection.
Okay.
The water rates dashboard is the other tool on the commission website that's in collaboration with the University of North Carolina.
Right.
That is currently being worked on, and that is out of date.
Okay.
So there is an effective date on that water rates dashboard in the bottom right corner of the screen you're sharing in that green box. Yep, the external resources.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So
All right.
there is a date on that, but it
Okay.
is being worked on.
Okay. So just so people know, if you're on our homepage and you go down to service type water regulation, you'll be at the page that we're talking about. And then there's bill comparison and then the rates dashboard. Two ways to look at some of the comparisons of rates, but Alex was saying, the rates dashboard, although it does provide some very extensive information, it's just not quite up to date anymore. So, but those are ways to look at that. Also, yeah, if you want to contact Lauren with the utility, she could provide you the utilities, the public information they have available. But
The only thing I would kind of add with
Mhm.
the comparison to other utilities is
Yeah,
that
sure.
on the website, when you pull this information, it does have effective dates of a utility's last rates.
Hmm.
And so I would put a very large caveat as far as some of those utilities that have far lower rates that have
Hmm.
not done an adjustment since 2015, if not, going back farther than that, that a lot of times those are utilities who have not come in for a rate case with the
Hmm.
PSC and or have not had a large project, but I would imagine at some point will, and that those utilities will face very sizable rate adjustments when they do come in. So it's sometimes you in the rate comparison as a utility, you tend to want to kind of fall in the middle because the middle shows that, you're up to date with your rates. You're not overcharging your customers, but at the same point, you're acknowledging the need to sort of adjust your rates going forward.
Yep, good point. And like I said before, every utility's got a different situation, whether maybe they've gone for a long time without an increase, or just their water's a different quality, different. It takes different processes to get that water and get it to people in a safe manner. Just it's very particular. You can get a general sense in comparing, but you really need to pay attention to the details as well. So yeah, appreciate that. All right, so someone else hasn't commented. Oh, it looks like we have Tim. Go ahead. Let me
Yeah,
swear
hi,
you in.
Tim Higgins, Village of Oregon, also a member of the village board.
All right, let me swear you in and I'll get your comments. Raise your right hand, swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
One point I wanted to add is it's not just what you pay, it's what you get for what you pay. And if you go to the DNR website and look at contaminants in the water and compare suburbs in Dane County to Oregon, I like to make the argument that Oregon has the cleanest water in Dane County. So we have a very good water utility that does a very good job of cleaning the water that we drink. So I think
Yeah,
that's an important consideration. Thank you.
absolutely. All right, thanks. Anybody else raising hands or unmuting? Go ahead and let me know. Oh, Jamie, you're back. All right, yeah.
I'd just like to echo some of the comments that were made. Thank you for taking our questions. Thank you for explaining. Yeah, Lauren, I mean, right, these sound very needed and necessary. It's really, you can't really argue, right, that we don't need these things. But like Michael said, I guess kind of, right, under the impression that what we're paying for not only covers our expenses, but that responsible people would be saving some money for future projects. That when you do encounter a project, you have some money stored away to like help offset some of these costs. And so it's helpful to have some context that maybe that hadn't been done so much in the past. I think some concerns are every time a new project takes place, you're going to increase our bills by 40%. I think that's a concern, valid or not, right? That the village some people have every time, because once this is paid for, you're not taking away that 40% increase, right? So it seems, I'm just saying that's a concern, right? Every time there's a project, bump, 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 and that's great. I love that we have the cleanest water in Dane County. Some people are concerned they're going to be priced out of living here, and then it doesn't matter because I can't afford to live here anymore. So it's great that Oregon has great drinking water, but who can afford to live here? So just expressing some of those concerns. Another comment that I saw online, this is really, like I said, I haven't attended a lot of meetings. A lot of comments I saw, 3 o'clock on a Tuesday is not friendly for those of us with day jobs. And so disseminating, this is so great, like helpful information. Not everyone can just drop what they're doing for an hour at 3 o'clock on Tuesday. It's great they can watch the YouTube video later, right? But if people had questions, they are not here to have them answered. So making, more friendly meeting time. So the perception is that you're not trying to avoid the public, I guess, right? So I just wanted to share those thoughts with you all. And then are we doing too much too soon while also trying to do a sewer project at the same time? We're trying to do too many big things, too much, too fast. Did we not see this coming? Did we not plan ahead? And now all of a sudden we're in this position and now, oops, we have to make big moves. I mean, that's kind of the perception again as well. And again, it could be just because we just don't know. And again, when you have meetings at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, it's hard to stay informed. So, yeah, I guess that's another question. The sewer project, now that I hadn't realized is happening as well. All this has to happen at once at the same time. They can't be spread out, or is that going to influence our sewer costs or any additional expenses related to that project? I guess you'd like to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that the commission did approve the water projects that are the main cost drivers here. So let's keep the hearing to that. And I think when you're looking at future planning or the choices that the village is making in terms of allocating its resources and its attention to different needs, I think you'll need to really address that with the village in terms of getting their priority. What you guys are prioritizing. Certainly something that participation with the village is going to be very useful. I think they'd probably benefit a lot from hearing from you. So yeah, I would pursue it that way. Anybody else want to comment? Okay, so well, we have we did provide that alternative way to participate, in case you are not able to attend. And like I mentioned, we have been collecting those written comments since January 6th, and we'll continue to receive those up until Thursday. Using that link, like I mentioned, is the best way to get a comment in. So in case you did not want to comment live, I totally understand that, but we are still able to receive a written comment should you wish to let us know your opinion on the case. So at this point then, do we have everything? I know I've provided everyone an opportunity, so I think we have everything we need. Is there anything we need to address before we adjourn? No? Okay. All right, so at this point, we're adjourned, and take care, everyone. I appreciate everyone's participation, and I know the record will be a good one for the decision maker to review this application, so I appreciate it very much. All right, well, take care, everyone. We're adjourned.